So thank you for wanting to take this interview with us again.
Of course.
I know it's been a couple years since your last interview.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So like on that note, did you feel like nervous the first time around, or
Not nervous. I was more so curious in the kinds
Oh,
of
yeah.
questions that I was gonna get asked, and I thought it was a good opportunity to kind of get a feel for.
Mhm.
I mean, if you're answering questions for the paper, you kind of get a sense of like the larger community, what they want to know about. So
Right.
I was approaching it more so from like a curious standpoint than a nervous, I would say.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got that. Yeah. So I guess to go to the more personal questions, I
Yeah.
understand that you went to El Camino College and then Long Beach State. So like,
Correct.
what made you want to transfer from El Camino? Like, was there like a particular like personal reason, or was
Oh
it-
no, well, El Camino is a community college, and so
Yeah, right, yeah.
Well, my time was up. My time was up.
I see. I
And
see.
Long Beach State is one of the best Cal State universities
Right.
outside of the UC system.
Right.
So my sister went there.
Mhm.
She loved it there. I knew a bit about the Long Beach community and about the differences between that and LA that made it attractive to me. So it was kind of a no-brainer for me to go to Long Beach State.
I see. I didn't
Yeah.
know you had a sister. Are you close with her?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, she's a couple years older than me and
Mhm.
has a daughter now, and
Wow.
so life's hectic for both of us.
Mhm.
And she's still back in Los Angeles, but no, yeah, we're still close.
How do you feel about being an uncle?
I'm gonna be an uncle, man. If you're working in education, I felt like an uncle for like 10 years. And so
I
it just
got
feels like now I'm formally like where I should have been a long time ago.
I
So
see.
yeah, it doesn't feel new for me because I've been around youth for 10 plus years. So
I got that. Yeah.
but to be officially one, I'm like, yeah, that's a milestone for me for sure.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I see. Yeah, I also have a older sister. She's like 8 years older than
Yeah.
me, so I definitely get like the different feeling, like different worlds type of thing.
Yeah. No, if I became an uncle at like 22, that would have been weird. Like at this stage, I'm 30 now, so it's like, nah, this is about the time where I should be an uncle. So
Right.
nah, it all works out.
Right.
Yeah.
I got
Yeah.
you. So yeah, what would you say was the main reason for getting your master's in education in Miami?
Well, I had a friend who I was coaching basketball with in LA,
Right.
and he was going through that same program, and
Mhm.
we had gone through pretty much the same stages. We both went to Cal State schools. We both were substitute teachers in Long Beach and in Torrance, and so that was the next step. He was taking classes. I was kind of in a gap year, so I
Right.
wasn't sure what to do. He loved the Miami program. The reasons he loved it were the same reasons I think I was appealed to it, which was professors who were engaged.
Mhm.
A lot of grad school professors just kind of there. Professors who was engaged, content that wasn't too rigorous,
Right.
and it also just allowed me to do my thing in LA while I was also going to school. So it kind of all lined up for me.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. And I imagine that Southern LA and Miami are pretty different, like living experiences.
Yeah.
Would you say you have like a best and worst experience with that?
Miami's just a wild place,
Yeah.
really. They're not one for rules there.
Right.
That's not really their thing. I think people also think that of LA, but it's more control. Like it's a lot more chill of a city than Miami,
I
I
see.
would say.
Yeah.
Thing is, for me at that point when I started grad school, I was already 26
Mhm.
or so.
Yeah.
So I was already past the stage of my life where I wanted to go and do the things I probably would have done in Miami if I was like 18, 19,
Nah, I
20.
gotcha. Yeah.
So it was more so of an academic experience. And I mean, it's just not necessarily similar in terms of like weather, like food or anything, but
Mhm.
the vibes are not that different Miami and Los Angeles. Miami's just a bit more lawless, I would say.
I see.
So that's
Interesting.
kind of differences for me.
Would you say you're more of like a beach guy or like a city guy because of that?
Ooh. Thing is, when you're from LA, you're kind of both.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like you can be a city person and walk along like I could like Los Angeles or Fairfax or Wilshire, all those big streets in LA.
Mhm.
And then you can get in the car and 15 minutes west in any direction or 15 minutes west from any part of the city and you'll be at the beach. So
Right.
I probably would say more of a city just because
I
I'm
got
not really an outdoors person like that.
Mhm.
But I do enjoy the beach now and then. You have to if you're from California. That's just
Right.
a given.
Yeah. I got that. Yeah. In your last interview, I loved your response that you maintain your own identity regardless of where you are.
Right.
So, would you say there was an exact time or period when you felt the need to stick to your identity, or was that sort of always part of you?
I feel like there wasn't really a singular catalyst for that.
Hmm.
I would say it's something that developed over time. I went to a very cliquey traditional high school where like appearance meant everything,
I see.
and that's something that I tried to like live up to. Once I got out of that and I realized I didn't need that to
Mhm.
make more friends. I became a lot more comfortable with my own skin.
That's great.
A lot more comfortable just being myself in every area. And for me, it was like, if people like it, cool. If they don't, then I don't really want to be around them anyway. So it didn't make sense for me to switch up or to be someone I'm not, just to make someone happy who doesn't like who I actually am.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I got that. And did you sort of like grow up with your best friend because of that? Like, I saw that you also, one of the motivations that you came here to Arizona was also because your best friend moved here for a while. So like, did you grow up with them or?
Him, I didn't grow up with. I actually met him when I was like 20. It was my first job in education. He was, he's like 3 or 4 years older than me, but he was my boss. So he kind of helped me like with some of the foundational elements of like what I do in education, which is really just, even though I'm myself in all areas, I didn't know if that could work like at work in education.
Right.
And he kind of pushed me to like not just be myself.
That's
and
great.
that it'll work and to just trust it. We grew close from that and having just a bunch of similar interests outside of the job. And that's also why I just felt comfortable moving here, is having that person that I could always rely on.
Gotcha. That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that actually does tie into this next question. Like, I really connect with your ideas of embracing who you are. I think that's also really important to me. Would you say there's like a particular person or piece of media that inspired you growing up?
A person or piece of media that inspired me growing up. Not a single. Well, this is like a cliche answer for like if you grew up in LA at the time I did with the interests I did. But like I could say like Kobe, for example.
Right.
Someone who was like, and this sounds maybe cliche or corny, but who was absolutely fearless in a way that like you could recognize at that age.
Yeah.
And that kind of gives you, like, for me, I'm like, well, if Kobe can do this, and I can like try this, that, or the third. And it kind of just gave me that fearlessness or confidence to kind of just try things and do them. If I fail, it's like, all right, like it's always tomorrow. That was kind of that is what I always had. Is just there's always tomorrow.
Right.
Like no matter how bad the day was, there's always tomorrow for me to come back and do things right.
Yeah. That Mamba mentality, right?
Mamba mentality. There we go. See, you got it. You got it.
Yeah.
That's all that really means too, though. It's just like just again, it sounds really cliche, but just no matter what, and just trying to get to wherever you're trying to get to.
Nice.
Yeah.
How did you feel about his passing? Man, that was a while ago. I think
3 years. Yeah. 3 years.
Yeah.
It was sudden.
Yeah.
I remember exactly where I was at, like literally exactly. It was around. I remember the day. It was on a Sunday, really cloudy day, really foggy day, and I was heading to the gym. It was probably like 10 a.m. or something like that, and I'm sitting at a light waiting to make a left turn. So I just opened up my phone, and I saw that.
Yeah.
And immediately I knew it was real because I'm like, no one would play around with it like that, anything like that, or not a hoax. And I mean, that wasn't at that age, I was 26 at that point.
Right.
So I'd already dealt with death from people that were like actually like personally close to me. So I kind of knew like the stages of it and how to process it. But yeah, it was a strange vibe in the city for a few weeks.
I got you.
For sure.
Yeah. I imagine.
It's still honestly not something that a lot of people like immediately after were like, let's remember him by watching his highlights and this or that.
Right.
That's not really for me how I kind of cope with things. And honestly, I'm still at the point where now I can't really go back and like look at his stuff. It just doesn't really register. Someone who felt like bigger than life and who everyone in LA knew, and who seemed like a superhero to people. Like it didn't seem real still for a lot of people. Yeah.
I gotcha. I guess to sort of shift focus, would you say you're very connected with your Ethiopian culture being Eritrean? Would you say like there have been times where you felt like you've been at odds with it? Like growing up in South Central, would you feel that maybe you understood something differently than your parents?
Yeah. I would say it started in school. I mean, and it's tough because there's a disconnect between you and the students you go to school with, and also you and your parents.
Right.
And you're just in between those two, and you're just trying to figure out how to like make things happen.
Right.
And so it's weird because I mean, you try to connect with people who look like you, but they don't have the same background.
Right.
And especially at that age, like a lot of Black Americans when they're younger. It's just something they do is just making. I'd get the jokes of, do you speak African, or the weird looks when they see your last name.
Right.
And at that age, you kind of want to fit in, so you start to kind of just tuck in your culture and try not to bring any attention to it and try to fit in. With your parents, it's like, and they want you to embrace their culture, especially Eritrean culture, where, there's but so many of us in Los Angeles, really in America, and they want us to hold on to it. But
Right.
you're also not someone who grew up there, and you're trying to attach yourself to this other culture that feel is gonna be more acceptable.
Right.
So I had that when I was younger. I would say somewhere probably like in high school, post high school, is where I started to more embrace my culture. The more I started to learn about it, the more I started to learn about my family members who were in that war, who fought for independence. My
Right.
aunt has a gunshot wound in her thigh
Wow.
and she was a nurse, but just caught it stray.
Mhm.
Things like that, it's impossible not to take pride in it. On top of that, there was a rapper, Nipsey Hussle, who passed away 4 years ago.
Right.
He's someone who I could attach myself to and that the whole city loved. That I can, when people ask me who I was or what I was, and I could say Eritrean, they would say, "What is that?" And I can say, "Hey, you know this guy, Nipsey Hussle," and then people would know. And that was also someone well respected.
Yeah.
So that also helped me embrace my culture to the point where now I have it tattooed on me everywhere. I have chains to make sure people know where I'm from, and I embrace it fully.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, it definitely ties into the idea that you're embracing your identity.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that is really admirable. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. I did notice in your last interview you mentioned Little Ethiopia in LA. Would you say you have is there like a defining factor that makes it feel like Little Ethiopia in LA? Like, is it just the people there, like the restaurants, everything?
Yeah. I mean, that's really just what it is. It's the only part of LA where you'll see like the whole block is just Ethiopian restaurants or markets, or like lounges. And so, of course, all the people that own that are Eritrean or mostly Ethiopian people. And so, like, that's the only area where you'll see the majority of the people in that area will be Ethiopian or Eritrean.
I see.
And so that's kind of what makes it what it is. And it does feel like culture. I mean, you walk down, there's music playing from the restaurants.
Right.
You smell the food. It feels like if you close your eyes, like you are back in East Africa. So, yeah, I mean, it's good to just have that feeling without having to travel 20 hours to get that. And then you can also just go back to your regular, or not regular, but, your alternate culture once you're out of there.
Yeah, like a slice of each life sort of thing.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's great. Have you ever, like, visited back to Eritrea or, like, in that, I guess, roots? Have you ever explored that?
Eritrea, I haven't been back to Eritrea since I was 14, so it's been a while.
Right.
I didn't go to Ethiopia for the first time in July.
I see.
That was something me and my mom did, something a lot more Eritreans are doing now, since relations between the countries are a lot better.
Right.
And Ethiopia is just more developed than Eritrea, so it's a way for people to experience Eritrean/Ethiopian culture while not also having to go through all the things you would have to go through if you were staying in Eritrea for a month, since they don't have the most resources for people.
Right.
So yeah, that was the last time we went. Eritrea is definitely on deck. Me and my mom have talked about that when we got back. Probably make that happen in the next couple of years, definitely.
That's good. Yeah. Do you have like a favorite restaurant from Little Ethiopia? I did a little searching, like Rosalind's and Meals by Jeanette. They look pretty good.
Yeah. Rosalind's might be the one, honestly.
Really?
Yeah, Rosalind's is the one. There is a marathon, which is more of like a lounge. But that's kind of where people my age kind of go to hang out and like just kick it in Little Ethiopia. So those are two places. If I wanted to eat, I'd probably go to Rosalind's. If I wanted to just hang out and chill, probably Marathon. So
gotcha.
Those are always two reliable spots for me, definitely.
I see. Do you have probably like a favorite meal, like from just Rosalind's?
Oh man, so like I mean, injera is like the name of like the basic, but that's not like a specific meal. Tabhi is my favorite form of injera. It's just injera with, well, that's the base. It's chicken marinated in like a bunch of different spices.
I see.
So that's my thing. I love tabhi. Anytime I go back home, mom already has it on deck, so she already knows. So yeah, tabhi for sure.
Yeah, that food by mom always goes great.
yeah, got to.
Yeah, also being like a bit Romanian, it's also interesting to have like that sort of split identity, like you mentioned, and the food is definitely just the best part in my opinion.
Yeah. When my culinary skills get to a point where I feel like I can do some sort of fusion stuff, I'm gonna have some like Eritrean American, Eritrean Mexican fusion.
Ooh.
I should probably like keep this idea to myself, but I'll talk about it a little bit there. But yeah, that's kind of one of the things I do want to do in the future.
I see. Have you ever I know you showed us some pictures in college counseling of some of the presentational food that you've done.
Yeah.
But like, have you ever thought of like, I guess not saying to become a chef, but like doing more of that? Like,
Oof. I don't know. I have to see where it goes. Really, the cooking started like during quarantine.
right.
I did it at home a little bit, and then when I moved out over here and I was living alone for the first time, it was something that I kind of had to do. So I wasn't just eating out every day and spending a lot of money.
Right.
So my culinary skills are building slowly.
Yeah.
Slowly. So yeah, I'm getting to that point. I think in like a couple years, I can solidly be someone who I'm like, yeah, I feel like I can make more than just like the handful of things that I'm like, I know I can make at a high level right now.
I see.
But yeah. You'll see it. You'll see it for sure.
I'll definitely look forward to it.
Yeah, man.
You should bring some in for class.
I will. I will. We'll have a day of we'll have a Mr. G's feast for sure. I'll bring something for everybody. So yeah, we'll make that happen.
Like a yearly holiday.
Yeah, man. Yes. Make it a tradition. You guys will be the first annual ones to receive it.
Oh wow. I feel honored.
Hey, I feel honored to have y'all eat my food. So yeah, there we go.
I noticed you're also a big fan of like pizza and Italian in general. Would you
Yes.
ever want to like I guess live in Italy or like maybe see like the fields of Tuscany or something like that?
I actually because Eritreans kind of go everywhere. I have a cousin or not a cousin. I don't even know how to, because we call everyone our cousins that we grew up with.
Yeah.
But it's a family friend who lives in Italy, and he like makes pastries too in Italy. I don't know what city. I want to say Rome. But that's someone who I want to visit. Yeah, I love Italian food.
Yeah.
North Phoenix, Romanelli's. Man, some of the best Italian beef sandwiches. For sure the best marinara sub in the city. So that's a little gem right there I told you guys about. Romanelli's, North Phoenix. For sure.
I'll definitely reach out to them.
Yeah,
that
man.
sounds great.
Yes. Top notch.
Yeah. I'm very big on sandwiches, so marinara sub does sound great.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Romanelli's is dope because it's like you walk through kind of like a Italian market area,
Right.
and then the back part is where they make like the deli. So you can do both, a little bit of grocery shopping and also get to the deli there.
Yeah,
So,
that sounds awesome.
Yes.
I guess on that note of like living in Italy, like, or if you were to visit somewhere,
Yeah.
like, would you ever permanently retire anywhere, like, I guess outside of the U.S. or?
Honestly, I don't think I've done enough traveling to be able to answer that.
That's
I've
fair.
only been to Ethiopia, Eritrea. I've done 4 hours in Turkey probably, and that's about it. I haven't done enough traveling to where I can confidently say, but I know that I don't need too much. If I have somewhere I can play basketball, if I have somewhere where I can just, really that's kind of it.
Yeah.
Like if I can find somewhere to do that, I think I'll be fine.
Yeah, live the life you love.
For sure, yeah.
Yeah.
But that's something I look forward to as I get older and travel more and experience more and seeing, what's viable for me and what's not.
Where's the 4 hours from Turkey coming from?
Layover or getting
layover.
stuck there?
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It wasn't the most fun. I did learn a little bit about it. I had some Turkish food there. Turkish pizza is what I had. So, I did experience just a little bit of Turkish culture.
That's great.
Just a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, gotta get that pizza everywhere.
Everywhere. That's probably one of the things I want to do when I get older is like just take a, I don't know, 6-month vacation, like backpack in Europe, but like play basketball in different cities. That's something I want to do is for sure to see what that's like, and also try pizza in different cities.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do both. Yeah.
Pizza and basketball tour.
Yeah, man. I'm gonna come up with some kind of name that's like alliterative that like and I'll like blog about it or something. Yeah, I'll share it with y'all.
Yeah, that would be great. Yeah. Since it's been a couple years from your last interview, how would you say you grew into basis, or how your opinion of it changed, like student body wise? I guess like as a network in general, like.
Yeah. I feel like it is a bit different than when I came here, or, I think I had a perception that students were a bit more closed-minded than I thought they would be. Just coming from where I came from and the things that I knew about Arizona, or the things I knew about, people in certain socioeconomic statuses. But that has surprised me is that I think people are more aware of the privileges that they have than I thought, more willing to address it than I thought. And so that's something that I liked. Staff as well is something that, like backed me up when certain things happen.
That's good.
I feel like that's for sure different from year one, is having more people who will support me if need be.
Yeah, totally.
So, I feel like it's been on a positive trajectory for sure from year one to now.
That's great. Yeah.
Yeah.
So on that note of like being aware of our own privileges and addressing it, like, as you probably heard the term basis bubble,
Yeah.
like we're sort of, I guess we don't really understand very well some worlds outside of our own.
Yeah.
So if you were like in our shoes, like say you were me, how would you best go about like educating yourself? Just like
Yeah. I mean, that's tough because it's not something that you could even get here because
Right.
there's just not a diversity of socioeconomic statuses in the school.
Yeah.
It's really about learning. Like, you have to intentionally and proactively go out and learn. You have to be
Right.
intentional about it. And that's maybe just like looking at things like social media is a big thing that could help you connect
Right.
with worlds that you're not a part of.
Mm.
Maybe talking to, if there's not like peers who have that, like who didn't come up from, like there's not a diversity of backgrounds, maybe teachers, faculty, right?
Mm.
Who you can talk to and maybe get that from. And so I think it's just going out and talking to people, listening, and that's how you're able to supplement, not having people to talk to just in your immediate vicinity who can talk about growing up in a different background.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nah, I totally feel that. So on that note of like diversity, socioeconomic, cultural,
Yeah.
even that chart we saw earlier today, how 70% of our student body is Asian.
Yeah.
Like, I guess, how do you think basis could increase its diversity as a student body? Like, do you think we should circulate more clubs, like Asian American awareness, or?
Yeah. I think it's making sure that people feel seen and that they feel heard and represented.
Right.
Right. And so I think that comes to, it's little stuff, but I think schools that, have all these like celebrations of different cultures, whether it's like celebrating National Hispanic Month or Black History Month,
Mm.
or having like cultural awareness days or food days where people just bring different foods from their own cultures
Right.
or wear different things from their own cultures. I think that normalizes, and I shouldn't say normalize because we should be accepting of all cultures.
Right,
But different
yeah.
people who haven't experienced other cultures might look at them kind of weird.
Yeah.
So I think acknowledging and embracing different cultures goes
Mhm.
a long way towards accepting them, and that would make them feel more comfortable coming to a school like this, where maybe there aren't too many people that look like me, but I know that those people who don't sympathize with me and they understand what I'm going through. They know, they know about my culture and what we go through.
Yeah, that is, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember from your last interview, you said something similar about like it's very important to know that there are other people going through similar things that you are, or
Right.
experiencing the same or similar things. So that exposure, I definitely think it's very valuable, like you said.
Yeah, yeah. I think again, it's just really like celebrating the diversity of people that you have in Arizona. I think that would make it a lot more of a, I can't prove what's the word I'm looking for. Not necessarily accepting, but welcoming, I guess.
Right. Yeah. No, totally. Yeah. So I guess we've already talked so much about like diversity on the
Yeah.
effect of students, but like
Yeah.
how do you feel like it affects the staff? Because me personally, when I sort of go out and say when I'm working or just interacting with more people from different schools, I feel that it's very different, like the way that people communicate themselves, carry themselves, and I guess we are privileged to say we don't have so many problems as say other people, and that
Yeah.
and that influences how we communicate. So would you say interacting with us as students has sort of affected how you think or communicate with other people?
Not necessarily. As far as those, I can say like with staff, like having the demographics that we do have among staff makes it so that there's just some conversations I can't have and that I won't have
Right.
with people who don't look like me, just because it wouldn't register with them.
Totally, yeah.
And it's something that I just wouldn't feel comfortable talking to them about.
Yeah.
Right. Fortunately for me, I have people outside of here who I can talk to about that, and they can sympathize with me, and we can go back and forth on this, and I'll have that support.
Right.
But it does suck because I mean, ideally, like I can talk about those things somewhere like here where it does matter, and we can it can trickle down to like you guys,
Mhm.
right? I just kind of take it upon myself to have those talks with the seniors or whoever I'm working with, and try to get my point across and get them to understand different things about people that don't look like them, so that they're understanding of some of their biases, some of the privileges they might have, and that they're aware of that going forward, and view people through that context. Understand that someone like me didn't have all the resources that someone like you guys had growing up, right? Not having private tutoring or private counselors, or even just having someone like me, right? Like the concept of college counseling was not something that I was really familiar with, really until I was looking for jobs and found this one. I just kind of assumed every high school had one or two of them.
Right.
and you kind of just have to find time with them when you can fit it in, right? And I also think on the flip side, if you grew up with that, with the knowledge that existed, it's hard for you to understand that there's people who don't have that, right? And so I feel like that's kind of my responsibility, is to outline the differences in how how you guys grow up versus how others grow up, so that you are aware of those differences.
Yeah, I definitely agree that. I mean, it certainly won't be perfect communication, but that doesn't mean we shouldn't at least try.
Certainly.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. And I guess if you were to describe a basis student now in just a few words, what would those be?
Curious for sure. You guys love questions, right? Whether it's me or for college reps or whoever, definitely curious.
Right.
And that's something that I can appreciate, right? I think if you guys can understand that you are in a bubble, but you don't ask questions, then I would be like, well, what's going on here?
Yeah.
Like, you know you're in this bubble, but you're not doing anything to address it and get outside of it.
Yeah, totally.
So yeah, curious, ambitious. I mean, you guys take on a ridiculous amount of classes, extracurriculars, things like that. Lastly, I would say silly. You guys are kind of silly. Y'all are some silly people.
Quirky.
You can't be some silly, quirky people. Not as serious as, and that's a good thing, as what someone might assume of someone who has the transcript that you guys have.
Right.
So that's something I can appreciate, is you guys kind of not always being serious and, you know, taking this cutthroat approach to academics.
Right. Yeah, definitely. Definitely being down to earth. I think it's something everybody can appreciate.
Yeah, and not just having conversations with people that are about, like, I don't know, like some old like philosophical text or whatever.
Physics.
Yeah, theoretical physics. Yeah.
I gotcha. Yeah. I guess to sort of shift to more random questions.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. If you would rank your top artists, hip hop, rap, what have you, what would your top 5 look like?
Top 5. Let's see. I would have to. I mean, coming from where I'm from, in the era I grew up in, like Snoop Dogg is up there.
Yeah.
He has to. Like his music just spans generations.
Yeah.
Like it puts you in a good mood. He's up there. I don't know about like 5 collectively. If you asked me like 5 years ago, Kanye West would have been up there.
Yeah.
Before he absolutely lost it, that is he's still a musical genius, but he's just the dude's wild, man.
Yeah.
He kind of went off the deep end. He would have been there 5 years ago. Now it's kind of I don't know where he rates for me. Who else would I have in my top 5 artists? Honestly, that's a tough question because I feel like it changes every 5 years or so, just because I hear something new.
Yeah.
Someone goes on a run or like 2-3 albums where I'm like, oh, they're not missing here.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, it's tough. It's tough for me to say. I'd probably have to look through my phone, which I don't want to do right now.
That's totally cool. I just remember seeing in your last interview you mentioned like Kid Cudi, Future, and Playboi Carti.
Yeah. And I was trying to come up with artists that I didn't mention my last time. Actually, let me see. Who do I have? Who am I listening to?
Yeah. I was looking at more older stuff, like when I first got into, I guess, older rap, like Wu-Tang or Nas.
Yeah. Well, I actually, I'm getting into vinyl now because I'm at that age. Yeah. And so I actually went vinyl shopping the other day.
Oh.
And I was looking specifically for this one Teddy Pendergrass vinyl. It's called TP. I'm at the age now where like a lot of the rap I listen to is sampled a lot of like soul songs, jazz songs, and so I try to find those samples and I want to listen to those.